A story about guns. Some thoughts about guns. I was thinking about it. In reality, I've been thinking about it for a very long time. You see, I'm for gun control. I mean, I really think we would have a better world if these damn things had never been invented. And I would love to control them, to keep them out of the hands of those bad guys. I mean, I thought about that many years ago, when a guy got in a tower, took a rifle and started shooting people, and the news covered it, and people were killed. I said, these bloody guns have to be controlled. That was many years ago, and for all these years I've thought, just how could we accomplish controlling these guns? And the reality is this. Take it from my wisdom. I'm going to tell this with my hat down. The gun has been invented, the same as the wheel was invented, and the computer. And once something is invented, we cannot uninvent it. It exists. I've tried to think of ways we could really control the gun. Maybe, like cigarettes, we could stop it dead in its tracks if we charged a tax, a $50 tax for every bullet bought. But the reality is, we develop an underground market, and there'd be bullet pushers. We wouldn't get any tax, and people would still get bullets. Even in the prison, a man can make a gun using a clothespin and some paper clips. I don't know, I saw it on a TV show once. I wouldn't know how to do it. Of course, I'm not even trusted with a spoon. No, the reality is this. The only thing we're going to do is we're going to keep the people that are honest and would use the gun for a good purpose from having the guns, and the bad guys would still run around with guns. We could use that trickle-down theory and give all of the big rich people guns and take away the guns from the poor people. That might work. We know how well that's worked. You know, it started with Reagan, this trickle-down theory. And then Bush carried it on, and then Obama came in, and he's continuing it. It hasn't worked out very well for the majority of us. There's a story, you know, so many of my stories involve my dear Benjamin. And it's very hard to go for just a few moments without thinking about him, let alone tell any stories. Benjamin has had 2 wives. I've taught the kids how to live married very well. Well, we all have our flaws. I didn't do very well with my marriage either. I threw my wife's cat, and I always advise kids in counseling, whatever you do, do not throw your wife's cat. It was an old cat, mind you. I remember the noise as it flew across the room. But I have a story about guns, something to ponder on. It's a true story. Benjamin's first wife had gone up to Tacoma to see an old boyfriend. This is one of the reasons that marriage did not work out so well, you see. And Benjamin had gone up to Tacoma and knocked on the door, because he kind of knew where she was, and demanded that his wife come. And the guy came to the door, and they had words, and the guy said, "I'll kill you." Didn't deter Benjamin. Bonnie came home with him. Well, about 3 weeks later, very early in the morning, there's a knock on Benjamin's door. And Benjamin opens the door, and here's this guy, the bad guy from Tacoma. And he says, "I want to see Bonnie. Go for a ride with her." And Ben says, "No, it's my wife. You cannot do this." And the guy says something to the effect, "I'll kill you," and storms off. The story gets bad. He goes up about 3 apartments and rapes a woman. This bad guy. But he was even worse than that. Before he had left Tacoma, he had murdered a lady, stuffed her body under a bed, and somehow it was found. And now the police were looking for this guy. So Benjamin and Bonnie talked to the police. And they said, "Oh, this guy's a very bad guy. He said he was going to kill you. He might well do this." So they took Bonnie and the children and put them in a safe house. And Benjamin called me and said, "What should we do?" And I said, "Benjamin, my dear boy, you must come home. You stay here. You will be safe here." So Benjamin came to the house. And that morning we had a little talk, and Benjamin said, "You know, I know that guy, Jer." I said, "Oh, how do you know him?" He said, "We went to school together. He used to live right back there on the street right to the north of us. That's where this kid grew up. He'd gone to school with Benjamin, and we knew he could kill." So I became very nervous. I'm thinking this kid might be sharp. He may figure this out. He may decide that Benjamin might come home, and he knows where Benjamin lives. I wasn't sure what to do about it, because the home was always the safe place in our lives. So I went to work. I had to do the talk show. And there was a salesman at the station named Max, and Max came in during a commercial break, and he said, "Jerry, I want you to take this gun. It's a 9mm Beretta. It's small, but it's a very efficient weapon, and I know you don't have one. For Benjamin to be safe, you really need to take this gun." So I thought about it. First I'd said no. But as the program moved onward, the calls are talking about great political matters, but my mind is thinking about that gun, that I should have the gun. It would save Benjamin's life, because this guy I knew was a murderer. America's Most Wanted features him now. He is shown on TV, and I really know that this guy is bad. And if there was ever a time that I, the pacifist, needed a gun, the time would be to save my Benjamin's life. So I took the gun, and I took it home. I didn't. I just wanted to sound like I had it all together. Nope, I did not take the gun. Benjamin and I stayed up late that night talking about this. It's 2:30 in the morning. The neighborhood is asleep. I have no porch light on. It's dark. And I'm thinking I should have taken the gun. We couldn't sleep, so we sat up talking. And all of a sudden, out of the deadness that's night, there is a tremendous pounding on the door. The only thing worse was the pounding of my heart. I cannot tell you the fear I felt that moment. I've never seen Ben look so nervous. And I'm thinking, my God, if I just had the gun, if I just had that gun, Benjamin's going to die. I'm going to die. My God, if I just had the gun. It's lucky I didn't have the gun. It was Justin, the kid that lived across the street that we very seldom talked. He'd had an argument with his girlfriend. He saw our lights were on. He came to the front door because he wanted to talk. From the depths of my soul, I'll tell you something. Had I had that gun, Justin, the boy next door, would be dead today, because I wouldn't have looked through the peephole. I would have stood by the chair and fired every single bullet that would have come out of that gun into the door, because I knew who was outside the door, but I really didn't. Guns have a potential for great danger. Guns have a potential for great good. We really have to control them. But we really need them. It's one of those dilemma things, if you will excuse me.